unearthed, or destroyed. That ballot did not exist. That ballot has appeared from you. I don't know where you got it from. You put it into the court record. Alan Henderson didn't. It came out of nowhere.
And where did I get it from?
I have no idea.
So
have you testified to that yet?
When the report says Defendant Alan Henderson produces this document,
I haven't seen Alan Henderson produce it. When we asked Alan Henderson to produce it, he didn't produce it. He said no such thing existed. You produced it by entering it into the court record.
Let me show you please third production request. See that request sent by Mr. Little?
Yes.
On October 11th, 2006?
Yeah.
Do you see that was responded to with the document?
Yeah, which is after the deposition, I believe, is it not? And after the subpoena for all the records, because this document didn't exist. However, there's nothing on this document that proves that this was, that in any way that this has anything to do with Willette Dixon. This is just a ballot, which you could have produced by scribbling in Mr. Louis Irby's name on here, writing spoiled on it. You could have produced this at any time. It was not in the records we got under subpoena in this case. Back when the deposition was taken, it was never produced under numerous public records requests prior to that. You have entered this into the record. You've also said a copy of the official record Henderson made of having provided Willette Dixon's absentee ballot. I don't see that. Now, I do know when spoiled ballots occur that there's a whole accounting system set up for it. And if it wasn't for the fact that your clients destroyed all of the unused ballots and all of the ballot stubs and all of that stuff, we'd be able to know for a fact whether you manufactured this document or actually was. We can't tell now, other than the fact that we know it was not produced at any time prior to this moment. Seems to me like you're manufacturing evidence.
So you're saying because you didn't see it before that manufactured evidence?
I'm saying because under subpoena you produced everything and that didn't exist. And therefore this has come outside of what was in existence prior to that date. So therefore I would constitute that manufacturing evidence.
What subpoena are you referring to?
Alan Henderson was subpoenaed for deposition and told to bring all documents related to the ballots and the absentee ballot process and all of the election records. And he did. He brought them all, and that was not there.
And again, during that process, Mr. Henderson went back into the City of Alachua office on several occasions.
Did he bring that out?
To get other documents. So you're not interested because it was enough?
No, I believe, if I recall, Mr. Watson did that because Mr. Watson didn't bring any documents that he was subpoenaed to bring. But Mr. Henderson did. He had a big box. Not exactly the most professional way of handling election records, but it was a big sort of round cardboard box. And in it was every document that you produced under subpoena stating these are all the documents in existence for this case that pertain to this election. That document was not there. And you have no way to prove that that document is associated with Willette Dixon other than you asserting it by putting it into that production for that subpoena for such records.
You're aware Mr. Henderson produced it pursuant to the request to produce.
I'm aware that you produced it and claim that Mr. Henderson produced it, but Mr. Henderson didn't produce it. What it is a ballot that says spoiled on it. It has no documentary evidence that it was Willette Dixon's ballot. It's not contained in an envelope that says spoiled ballots for absentees, which is required under the process. It was not there when the documents were subpoenaed. We went through every single document. For all I know, that document was taken out of one of the spoiled envelopes for one of the precincts, which did exist.
Now, if Mr. Henderson had torn this up?
That's what Willette Dixon said. Or thrown it in the garbage, I think is what Henderson first testified earlier in that. Later he said, or the absentee ballot miscellaneous box, which is, again, certainly not a professional legal category of storing public records or election records, that's for sure.
And what difference would it make whether or not he tore it up or preserved it.
But it makes no difference. What he did was committed a crime by reaching into the ballot box and taking the original ballot out and voiding it, whether he tore it up, threw it in the garbage, or put it in the spoil.
So
that was a crime.
So it would have made no difference.
It would have made no difference, but what I see is you're creating ad hoc just explanations for things that you can't prove according to the facts. What I see you is doing a little bit of the game of lawyering. I find that funny. I find it problematic.
Mr. Grapski, so what you're saying is that on manufactured evidence and suborned perjury on a document that doesn't matter at all.
Well, from your defense strategy, which I see in this paper, which is, oh, you guys are just stringing together a whole bunch of minor improprieties and trying to make a big case out of it. This is a case in which that election was... Mr. Henderson, Mr. Watson, Ms. Calderwood, not one member of the canvassing board even bothered to learn the laws that they were required to follow. This election is probably the most disorganized, unprofessional, non-legal election that has ever been documented. I'm not saying that none others have been done like this, but this is certainly the one that's been documented. And what I've seen is you try to create a defense for that indefensible position by trying to say, oh, these are just minor errors and we're making a big thing out of nothing. And so you're trying to create an impression to the judge that all these things can be explained away. That's an ad hoc justification, I believe, yes. That appears to me that you, Robert Rush, have participated in the suborning of perjury by
other than this one document that we discussed regarding Mr. Henderson, are you alleging or are you aware of any other manufactured evidence?
Sure. Well,
please detail the manufactured evidence.
On the day that we went through every single document that you provided under subpoena, we discovered for the first time where the provisional ballots were, because we've never been given those when we asked. And those provisional ballots, which we discovered, because the canvassing board was never notified of them, and you never offered this into evidence until we brought it up, and Alan Henderson said, oh, provisional ballots, yes, well, they weren't even in my possession until after the canvassing board meeting, which we know is not true. We know that all those documents were delivered to his office by the people he was working with in counting the ballots. And in those boxes were those four provisional ballots. Now, what we discovered after giving you guys the knowledge that we knew about those four ballots is all of a sudden, here they are produced for the first time. They weren't produced when I made my public records request, but here they are produced opened. Now, opening those ballots outside of the canvassing board is illegal. Now, at the time when we asked Alan Henderson the question of, who opened those? Oh, I have no idea, he testified. But since then, you've submitted a document that says, oh, now Alan Henderson says he opened them. Well, he testified that you didn't open them. Now, he contended you're presenting a lot of further testimony.
Anything else that you're referring to?
Those are the two things that stand most glaring in my mind.
Okay. Any other basis for your claim of encouragement of perjury?
Oh, I believe that when Lynette Dixon testified that she spoke to your sister, and came back and all of a sudden said that Clovis Watson never told me who to vote for. He just talked to me in such a way that I went in there and I knew who to vote for. It seems to me that that's pretty much evidence that there's a possibility that your office was involved in getting Lynette Dixon to perjure herself. That's another thing that stands in my mind.
All right. Anything else regarding the encouragement of perjury?
The totality of this, Mr. Rush. I've seen Clovis Watson perjure himself. I've seen Calderwood perjure herself, and I've seen Alan Henderson perjure herself. So, I mean, where do we start? If you want to ask me a specific question, I can tell you. But those are the three things that stand out in my mind.
Okay. You just said that Mayor Colwood perjured himself.
I've seen them perjure themselves. I don't have a list of all the things here, but I mean, if you want to go through statement by statement, I'd be happy to.
And what part are you alleging I participated in encouraging those individuals to commit perjury?
I